Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another week of a 30 NSG. On today's show, which is the last day of July of 2023. Tomorrow is August. We're going to be talking about three main topics today. We're going to be talking about Gotham Knights DLC. We're going to be talking about Square Enix and Final Fantasy making a deal with Xbox. And we're going to be talking about Transformers. Hasbro would like Transformers on to Game Pass now that Activision's bought by Microsoft, but there's a problem. And so we're going to talk about those three topics today. If you like the content that we produce here, please make sure you hit that like button down below. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button if you like the content. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, you become a member as little as $5. What's going on, boss? What's going on, Stealth? So we've been back now since last Wednesday. We had a show on Thursday morning, Thursday evening. We had the podcast, and now this is our full first week back after vacation. So it'll take a little bit to get back into the groove of things. I have while I was on vacation, you're stirring up stuff. When you go on vacation, kind of like, I don't know if you find yourself or whatever kind of bullshit, but I was thinking of stuff, right? I was listening to a lot of different podcasts, a lot of sports talk, a lot of different content out there while I was away. In the evenings and stuff, I would sit there, listen to a podcast, and I was trying to figure out ways to make my podcast better for you all that like the podcast as is, but also to make it better in the long run, to make it more entertaining. So I'll give you those details a little bit later and get the room temperature of what you guys think we could do near the end. What's going on, Dapstick? All right, so let's start off with Gotham Knights, the first topic that we want to talk about this morning. Gotham Knights DLC may be releasing real soon. Now, a lot of people thought Gotham Knights sucked because of the whole 30 frames per second type of thing. A lot of people gave it crap, but it made money. So it came out that Gotham Knights and Back 4 Blood, which I didn't like personally. I thought Back 4 Blood was okay, but I didn't think it was great. But Back 4 Blood, WB came out and said that Back 4 Blood and Gotham Knights both made profit, both made money. It didn't hit the goals I guess they wanted to hit. We talk about this all the time about how companies say that they're disappointed with something, but they still made it, right? So they wanted to sell, let's say, 1 million, but it only sold 900,000, but they making their money back would have been like 600,000, right? So Gotham Knights is successful. So it made a profit. It had a really bad turnout or public perception, I guess I should say, because of what Gotham Knights was with the 30 frames per second. It literally just knocked it down. People wanted 60 frames per second. And yet, here we are with other games coming out now with 30 frames per second, and less people are making noise. But the topic today is Gotham Knights DLC may be releasing. This comes from Comic Book Gaming, so let's read this. Gotham Knights DLC should possibly be released soon. Over on Reddit, some eagle-eyed fans of the DC game have noticed that the co-op game has been receiving frequent updates on Steam, the Steam DB. Now, ultimately, this may or not mean much, but typically it suggests something is brewing with the game, whether it's DLC or a major update. Unfortunately, it's impossible to know what should or shouldn't be made of this, but one thing is seemingly obvious, that there is still work being done on the game, which makes sense. While the game didn't quite land with critics, it also sold well. So Hardy's post-launch support, it happens, not surprising. Now, some fans have pointed out that around release files have game discovered that the point of playable Batman. Naturally, many are hoping that the two things are related, but right now, there is no evidence of this. Now, at the moment of publishing, the situation has not attracted any type of comment from developer WB Games Montreal or games publisher WB Games. Now, we don't anticipate the changing for a handful of reasons. However, this expectations is bucked, and some type of comment is provided. The story will update with said comment, regardless of whether the it is or not. Now, Gotham Knights is available for PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S, and X. Now, we see these things all the time, right? And there are stories out there that see the files and nothing comes of it. The last time they saw files, they knew the DLC was coming out, and they did do an update for what was the Havoc Heroic Assault. That's what it was called, right? And they added to the Heroic Assault, and they kind of listened to the crowd, right? The crowd was talking about, we wish we could just fight Harley Quinn and them, and they added that after the fact. Then they added another heroic assault after Starro, where you can go through and you can fight Clayface, you can fight Mr. Freeze, you can fight Harley Quinn while you go through the heroic assault. Very small DLC, but yet DLC nonetheless. So now they're saying that there's other DLC that's coming, but they just don't know what it is. And a lot of people are thinking that it could be the DLC that people wanted, which was playable Batman. Now, obviously, these are the two major points that people gave crap about Gotham Knights. They said, well, you can't play Batman in a Batman game. It's stupid. That was one of the main reasons. And two was the 30 frames per second. So maybe, just maybe, down the line, they will upgrade the game so it's a 60 frames per second type thing, right? Maybe that's one of the reasons they're working on it in the background. We don't know what it is. Two, there could be like a prequel or a separate game mode where you could be Batman. That would be interesting as well, right? Maybe you can't play Batman in the regular city, but maybe you can play Batman in the heroic assault game mode, and which I think that would get a lot of people. But then people would bitch about that. Well, we can play him in the heroic assault, but we can't play him in the regular game. And maybe that just ruins what the story type of stuff is. There's also a file inside there where they saw the face of Two-Face. Now, we talked about this way, way, way back when talking about how could they make DLCs for this type of game. And I said they could just keep adding villains, right? There's plenty of villains that they could keep adding to, and you could do the case files. I personally think that they're going to do the case file type of thing. I think they're going to add more to the case files in the open world. Go get these guys, go get these henchmen, find more information, and then fight the boss. I said that this game lives or dies by adding more and more villains. You can go watch that video that we did like over 9 months ago. So that is the Gotham Knights DLC. If they do come out with DLC, is it going to make this game like much better? No. Are mass people going to come back and play the game? No. But it does give hope that they are going to continue to support this game, and or because the game made money and profit, they could make a Gotham Knights 2, and they could learn their lessons. So maybe by 2027, 2028, maybe we see another game of Gotham Knights 2, and they can do the actual 60 frames per second. We could do more bosses, more heroes type of stuff, and I think that would be a big win for them. Waterbear says Gotham Knights DLC will be a Batman skin. It could be a Batman skin. Do you think that will be enough to get people to come back? I don't think anything they bring to this game will bring anything back. Even if they say, hey, Batman's alive and he's back in the game, I don't think that brings a crap ton of people back. I just think it's just people that are like the game. Like, I went back for the heroic assault, but it didn't make me stay for the heroic assault. I completed the story. I completed the game. If there was more to do, more villains to do, more case files, I would go back and play it, right? Like if it was like what Division's doing, where they put the manhunts in, if Gotham Knights did that, then I would come back and play it. Just give Arkham Knights 2 and I'm good. And they made money, so now there's talks. There was rumors last week that I read that Back 4 Blood 2, because it made money, they are in the works of Back 4 Blood 2 now. Now, because Gotham Knights, we know, did make money, it wasn't a flop, then there probably will make a Gotham Knights 2 in the future. Jesse Mack says probably Catwoman. We do know Selina is in the game, in the files, as far as they talk about her, right? I think in that world, in that Gotham Knights, Jesse, I think Catwoman was married to Batman. So perhaps we get to play. Now, this would be cool. If you could play as, if it's a separate game mode, like Heroic Assault, you could play Batman, you could play Catwoman, then you could play Batgirl. The more games like this, comic book games, I've said this an infinite amount of times on my channel. Comic book games live or die by how many characters you can play and how many villains you can beat, right? That's it, right? Doesn't matter if it's Marvel or DC. They want is play as many characters as possible. I want to be as many heroes as possible. I want to go up against as many villains as possible. Hence, one of the reasons Marvel Future Revolution succeeded in the very beginning is because there was 8 to 10 characters, and then you were going up against like 30 different villains, right? And that's why people liked playing it. The downfall of that game was because it was a mobile game. If it was a console game, I think it would have succeeded. but because it's a free-to-play game and whatnot, that failed. Now, Gotham Knights, in my opinion, again, I had a video 8-9 months ago talking about how this game lives or dies, and I think it still lives or dies based on how many villains you add. If you could keep bringing in villains and fighting it in a nice way, right? Not just a heroic assault. You bring in case files. You bring in like story. It's a comic book game. Bring in story, like separate comic book stories for Two-Face, for Catwoman, for these type of characters, and I think you have something there. Those games are great on honeymoon once, and then you get home and you realize just a basic bitch. Right. Made more money than Avengers. Yeah, no, it succeeded. Now, I don't know if it made more money than Avengers, boss, because I don't know what WB number was. We don't know what the number was, right? We do know Gotham Knights sold, but it was told to us that Gotham Knights was a flop, but now it's come out by WB Games saying that it wasn't a flop. It actually made money, and now they're in talks of either supporting the DLC, because Back 4 Blood and Gotham Knights both were undersold as far as the public eyes known, right? The public eye was like, these games didn't succeed very well. But WB came out and said, no, these games made money and we're happy about it, but they weren't fantastic about it. You know what I mean? Al Weezy, thank you very much for the 1-month membership. Yeah, whatever you say, you comic book nerd. Kidding, you're the homie, Mike. I mean, I appreciate your membership, Al Weezy. I want stories. Anytime you take a comic book character and you put him in a comic book game, DLC and more villains is the best thing for these games. The reason we like the comic books is because, hell, Transformers Reactivate coming out later this year or next year or whenever it comes out. I want to play as many Autobots as possible. I want to play as many Decepticons as possible. I want to go up against as many bad guys as possible, right? That's why we like these type of cartoons and shows and comic books. That's why we like these guys. Sounds like what you could have worked on Avengers. Too bad devs are lazy. Companies are money hungry, but they can make the money, Water. You know what I mean? They can make the money. The fact that they failed Avengers is pathetic. Fire them, all of them. I was coming off the MCU hype, and they decided to cash in on that. Yep, that's exactly right. There was no DC hype, so it is what it is. Let's see. You literally could have opened up with Thanos' story or just replay all the Avenger movies, right? And here's the bad part about all of this of comic books, right? They want to make original stories and whatnot, and I think that's fine. I think you can make original stories, right? Like Spider-Man had an original story. But at the same time, once you're done with that original story, you can start borrowing from, I don't know, 80 years of comics, of Marvel Comics and all the characters, and take those stories. And now, as a kid, when we read those comic books, and as an adult, when you read those comic books, they're just little cells that you're reading and you're making the vision in your head. It would be really cool if you could take those things off the page and now be a part of that battle. Be a part of that thing. Right here. Here's an example. In the original Star Wars, when Obi-Wan says, "I fought with your father in the Clone Wars," right? And it was just a line. It was just a sentence. We're like, what's the Clone Wars? And then later down in our lives, they made the prequels and they made the Clone Wars. And we're like, wow, that's really cool, the battles of the Clone Wars. Then they made the show, The Clone Wars, and then they made Battlefront, where you could fight in the actual Clone War battles, okay? That's what I'm talking about, right? They take the things off of something and then make it. It was just a line. I fought with your father in the Clone Wars, okay? Then they make the prequel movies. Then they make the prequel animated shows, and then they make video games where you're actually fighting in the Clone Wars. And it's like, how hard is it? Like how hard is it to think about what people want? Marvels. Okay, what do you want? Well, I want to be Spider-Man. Great, Spider-Man. I want to go up against Goblin. Great, there's Goblin. I want to go up against, just keep adding. Oh, it'd be cool if I went up against this person. Oh, it'd be cool if I went up against this person. It's like, how do developers not think of this? DC, Marvel, anything. Boggles my mind. Yeah, I think Selena was her wife in that game in that universe of Batman, right? Boss says, I'm all for Marvel Gaming Universe. I think that would be awesome, but takes a lot of work, dedication, passion, unwavering willpower. People don't want the original stories in comic book games, even if Insomniac uses different universes and mash them together would create awesomeness. Right. We just want hundreds of heroes and villains and 500 hours worth of story, and that'll be satisfying. You know, people make fun of the DC Universe Online because of whatever reasons, but that game is doing exactly what people want. Hence why there's still, you know, tons and tons of people playing the game, because they keep bringing in stories, and that's what people are interested in, right? You can make your own character and then become who you want in the world of that DC universe. I mean, I think they're doing that, boss. I do. I think they are making the Marvel Gaming Universe, as I said in the past. DC Universe Online was amazing. Not my cup of tea today, but will always have a place in my heart. But it's still, the crazy part is, boss, it's still going, right? It's still going. Like, how many years is DC Universe? It's like 11 years? Yeah, 2011, right? 2011. It's been 12 years. Here, episode 45, right? Here's the best part, right? This is what they're doing right now. Episode 45, shock to the system, right? Look, it's amazing what they've done. I know it's mind-boggling, right? But they made it into a comic. Look, shock to the system. Dakota City is just built different. Ebon's powers cast a long shadow about the, right? They're giving you a synopsis, and then you take your character and you go into that story. It's not rocket scientist, right? It's not rocket science. Not rocket scientist. It's not rocket science, right? You just constantly, hey, episode 44, The Sins of Black Adam. Episode 43, Dark Knights. Right? This is exactly what every comic book game needs to be. Right? This is exactly what Marvel's Avengers needed. This is exactly what Gotham Knights needs. Okay? You need stories. Comic book stories. I don't need an open world wandering aimlessly around the world with nothing to do and just collect gear in a comic book game. That stuff is added on to what it should be. I think DC Universe is getting a graphics update. It is. It is. But this is what you need. I mean, look at this again. Look at what they've done. They've done exactly what I've been asking. Wish other games did it. There's 42 comic book episodes. You come back, you play Wonderverse, you come back, Birds of Prey, right? And if you notice, when they came out with the episodes, it did cross promotion, right? To when the movies came out, or when the shows came out, or when something happened, right? Do you think it's coincidence that The Sins of Black Adam came out in episode 44 when Black Adam movie was out? Do you think it was, coincidence that they had a Dark Knight when the Batman movie came out? Do you think it's weird that they had a Wonder Woman and a Birds of Prey? Do you know what I'm saying? This is exactly what you're supposed to do in these types of games. And to not think of this, right, is mind-boggling to me. Like, from this point forward, any Marvel film that comes out should have not a connective tissue, but, like, let's say the next Captain America game comes out, or I'm sorry, the movie comes out, right? With Anthony Mackie, that Captain America game should drop around the same time. Even though it's not the same character, right? It's Captain America, right? It should drop the same time. Same with any other game that's Marvel-based coming out. Like the Spider-Man game, I think, missed the ball. Okay? I do. Spider-Man 2 should have came out during Miles Morales or the last Spider-Man movie, right? Was it Far From Home? Okay? That's when that game should have came out. Marvel should have realized, hey, we're making this game. We have these guys made. Let's hold it until the next major thing comes out. I stopped about episode 28, I think. That's how you're supposed to do it. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think Marvel Future Revolution, the mobile game, was sort of doing that with the Eternals crossover type stuff and the added characters. But it was a mobile game. And they were double, tripling, quadrupling, eighth-tupling on the microtransactions and trying to make you buy stuff instead of make a game and then letting you do the stories and stuff. Like, I would pay, right? I would pay for these. If these were like $5, $10, okay? What's the difference? What's the difference if people right now are paying for battle passes, season passes, all the stuff in games that they're playing right now, right? These are free, by the way. These are free to play. Okay? You get these episodes for free and you play through them, okay? But I would pay for these. And here's the best part. If you want more story, then you pay for these. If you don't want more story, then you don't. And you just get like if I want to get the next issue of the comic book, I go to the store and I get the comic book. If I'm not interested in that comic book, I don't buy that story. And then when the next one comes out, I can buy episode 43. But I didn't like 42 and I bought 41, right? It's mind-boggling to me. But anyway, that's Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights DLC may be releasing soon. We don't know for sure, but there's stuff in the writing, in the code that people saw, and they're like, what is it, right? Heroic Assault came out. They did add to it. They've added 2 things to this game since it launched in October, November last year. So we'll see if they continue adding stuff. And now that we know that WB came out and said that Gotham Knights and Back 4 Blood both were successful and made profit, made money, then maybe there's a Gotham Knights 2, or maybe they make this a live service type game where they can constantly, maybe they pivot. Maybe they keep giving content and make case files, and that'll make the game better, but it's also too late because first impressions are everything, right? So no matter what Gotham Knights does, you're never going to get, in my opinion, you're never going to get that No Man's Sky comeback, okay? You're going to get people that love the game to come back and play the game again. You're going to get a couple of people that buy it after the fact and then go, oh, well, it's good now. But you're never going to get like an abundance of people to come and go, oh, Gotham Knights, you need to get Gotham Knights. That's done. That's done. They'll have trickle, and then they'll say that they sold 5 million copies or whatever down the road. But Gotham Knights 2 is what they need to focus on now, and just do little updates with these either case files or add more Heroic Assault type of stuff moving forward. That's just my opinion. Sarge says, make a game, sell a game. Boss says, every time I see Sweet Tooth, I can't help but think I had a Sweet Tooth going to kill you. Or you pay membership for a month and have access to all of them. Right. That'd be cool too. I mean, I'll be honest. I think one of the best games out there right now, I don't play it just because I don't have time. And yes, it's an MMO. And yes, DC Universe Online is an MMO. But DC Universe is doing well. And then Elder Scrolls ESO Online. Elder Scrolls Online, I think, is doing a phenomenal job. And I hate to say this, Fallout 76 is even doing a good job with like stories that they add to it, that they're free, and they just keep giving updates. They keep giving stories. But when it comes to a comic book game, all these guys, they miss out on the opportunity. Even Spider-Man 1 did a good job with 3 DLCs, with 3 DLCs, right? More story for the character that you like to play. All right. Let's go to the next story. All right, the next story that we're going to go to is breaking news update. In addition to its news, the CEO of Square Enix has come out and said the following: "We want to welcome the Xbox community as well. Starting with today's announcement, and whenever possible, we are planning to bring games to Xbox for players to enjoy." Now, this was big news because people were losing it, right? Now, we've said it in the past, and I think I said it. I can't remember. I don't know if it was before I went on vacation. We talked about the Final Fantasy sales, and we were talking about the 3.3 million units that they sold for the player base of 38.5 million. And I can't remember if I said it or not, but I think I said that, man, wouldn't it be funny if Xbox got Final Fantasy? I said PlayStation fans would lose their shit. I think is what I said, right? And then here we are 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later. Square Enix promises to bring games to Xbox whenever possible following the Final Fantasy XIV announcement. So today, Square Enix announced that its successful MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV is on its way to Xbox consoles after years of being PlayStation console exclusive. And to hear the CEO of Square Enix tell it sounds like Xbox is successful, ensure that even more Square Enix games will end up on the console in the coming years. Now, during the Final Fantasy Fan Fest in 2023, Final Fantasy XIV game director welcomed Xbox head Phil Spencer on stage alongside with Square Enix CEO, celebrating the Xbox release announcement. While out on stage, they followed this statement, quote, "And the more thing, as CEO of Square Enix, we want to continue to deliver fabulous games to fans across the world. And of course, we want to welcome the Xbox community as well. And starting with today's announcement on Final Fantasy XIV coming in spring of 2024, and whenever possible, we are planning to bring our games to Xbox for players around the world to enjoy. They're really looking forward to working closely with Phil on the Xbox team to make this possible." I mean, let's be honest here, right? Final Fantasy XIV is a hugely successful game, okay, on the PlayStation. And they want to make more money. And it makes sense to put a game like this on the Xbox, on the Game Pass, because they make most of their money through microtransactions and whatnot, right? So it's the perfect fit. Okay. Now, in response, Spencer said the following: "Thank you. We deeply respect the rich legacy of Square Enix, and we're looking forward to building the relationship that we've established in bringing Final Fantasy XIV to the Xbox, and I'm partnering closely with you and Square Enix team to the future games." Now, on this face, the idea that Square Enix wants its games on Xbox console might not seem that strange, but there's a lot of fascinating context surrounding the statement that makes it a bit extraordinary. Square Enix has long been subject to exclusively deals with both Xbox and PlayStation over the years that have pushed the games towards one console. I missed my step. Periods over. Most recently, Final Fantasy XIV launched exclusive on PlayStation consoles, and there has been no word yet on the Xbox release. Now, the gravitation of Square Enix towards PlayStation has been a serious concern for Xbox, though, as we saw during the recent FTC Microsoft trial, the One Evidence document revealed that Xbox had seriously considered buying Square Enix in 2019. Though we did not learn from the document why the deal never occurred, Square Enix also came up repeatedly during the trial, with Final Fantasy 16 used an example of the kinds of games PlayStation was buying exclusively rights to, and frustrating but acknowledged part of the game's market competition from the trial. Now, we learned that the critical it was becoming Xbox to stuff its library full of content and ensure it isn't missing out on major games like Final Fantasy 16. In the light of that, there is no surprise that Spencer has been currying Square Enix for franchise like Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Neri, and also Just Cause, and more, and many more. Now, while either Spencer elaborated on specifics of the willingness to take the stage together today, perhaps hints at the future with fewer PlayStation exclusive deals for Square Enix content and more Square Enix content on Game Pass. So, huge news. Now, does this make me go, "Oh man, I'm going to go out and buy"? No, I stopped playing Final Fantasy years ago. Okay, I have a PlayStation 4. I could play Final Fantasy 14 right now. I'm just not interested personally with it, but this is fantastic for people that, and again, I don't think this is going to make major sales for Final Fantasy and market, okay? But most people that are Final Fantasy fans bought a PlayStation because they're Final Fantasy fans, and they know that Final Fantasy has been on PlayStation. It's been a staple of PlayStation for well over a decade. So at this point, all of a sudden, because now Final Fantasy is now announced that it's coming to Xbox in spring of 2024, okay, or sometime in 2024, I don't think all of a sudden there's all these like Final Fantasy fanatics that love Final Fantasy that didn't have a PlayStation to play Final Fantasy. You see what I'm saying? I don't think this is going to all of a sudden make or break PlayStation because they're like, oh man, all these Final Fantasy fans that are on Xbox. Not to say there's not Final Fantasy people that are like, oh man, I would play that game if it was on Xbox. Sure. But if you were really a fan of the game, you would have purchased a PlayStation because you know for a decade or more that Final Fantasy games have always been on PlayStation. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So I don't really see, like, this is fantastic for gamers. It's a win for gamers because now if you are a new person coming up and you've never played a Final Fantasy game, you're like, oh, what's this Final Fantasy? I heard about this and I didn't have a PlayStation. Sure, there's going to be people that pick it up, but there's not going to be this all of a sudden matching what's on PlayStation as far as now. Don't get me wrong. If it's on Game Pass, which it probably will be, okay, there is an abundance of people that maybe have a PlayStation but now have an Xbox, right? And they're playing other games on Xbox, and they're like, well, if it's on Game Pass, I'll just play it on Game Pass as long as my game transfers over and stuff like that. It's more of a convenient type of thing. But again, I don't really see this all of a sudden, 10 million more people out of the woodwork like, oh, I've never heard of Final Fantasy before. What is this game? Like, that's not happening, right? People are like, Final Fantasy's on PlayStation. It's been their staple for 10 years. Now, going in the future, that could change, right? Because my son, who's 8 years old, will become my 10-year-old, and then a 12-year-old, and a 13-year-old, and he might pick up Final Fantasy for the first time. And because his first Final Fantasy might be on Xbox instead of PlayStation, then down the line, you can see it then, oh yeah, Final Fantasy's on all consoles, so it doesn't really matter, okay? It'll be very interesting to see what happens, okay? It'll be very interesting to see what happens down the line, if it's cross-play, if you can play with your friends, if it's cross-save, and whatnot going forward. But that's a conversation for another time, right? So this is huge news for people that are Xbox fans that now can play a Final Fantasy game. But at the same time, we saw the sales numbers. Let me find the sales numbers again for the series, because Final Fantasy, I believe, sold like a third on Xbox, right? Series sales. Let's go to the Final Fantasy video game, and let's scroll down here. Let's scroll down. What was it? 15 that was on Xbox? It was 14. No, 15. It was 15, right? It's tactics. That's 13. 15. Okay. So here's the difference, okay? Now, just to put it in perspective here, I believe that this is Japan overseas worldwide, okay? Japan overseas worldwide. So this is Japan. This is Japan. So in Japan, on PlayStation, it sold 1.2 million copies of PlayStation 4 in 2016, Final Fantasy 15 in Japan. On Xbox, it sold 3,315 units. That's not million. That's 3,315 units. On PlayStation, it sold 4.5 million units. Okay? In the United States, right? In the United States, 4.5 million units. And then Xbox One sold an additional 2.2. Now, 2.2 million is not to be like, whatever. But it's half. So the point stands that if you're a Final Fantasy fan, majority of the people already own the system for PlayStation. So it's not like they're going to go up. So even if all these people return from Final Fantasy 15, the 2.2 million, I'll give it 2.5, right? You get 2.5 million people that didn't own a PlayStation, but that's in 2016. Maybe those people bought the next PlayStation, or they're going to buy a PlayStation, right? So, again, fantastic that it's on for gamer. Win for gamers. But I don't think this is going to. But that's money on the table. That's money left on the table for Square Enix, and they're like, that's an additional 2.5 million people that could have bought our game or played our game. Now the big win is that it's 14, the online one, right? Final Fantasy Online is one of the bigger MMOs out there, right? So let's look how many players are playing right now. Final Fantasy 14 player base. The player count as of right now, it's ranked 3rd in the world, I think, right now. Daily players is just under, it's not just under, it's 842,000 players. Daily players. 842,000. Now that right there is the market that they want. They're like, Square Enix is like, wait a minute, if we can get an additional 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, right? To get on the online and get people to pay a subscription or a microtransaction and whatnot, then that is where the money's at. Okay, they don't really care about selling the initial game. They want the returning players to come in and stay in the universe, and there's a bunch of people that don't have it that they can come over, right? Let me go to the chat real fast and see what you guys are saying here. Let's see. Ford says, whenever possible, in other words, when Sony isn't paying them a ton of money to keep it off Xbox. No, it's coming out in spring, or not spring, but it's coming out in 2024, Ford. So let's see what else. Jesse Max says, off topic, at the end of your show, did you you heard about the CD Projekt Red are laying off 100 staff members? Yeah, we already talked about it last week on Thursday morning. On Thursday morning. Let's see. Smart to get the Xbox within Final Fantasy 14. That game makes money. Smart to make Xbox players pay to its game that deserves you to play it. Right, boss. And again, this is I'm one for people that if you want to play the game anywhere, play it anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, I hate, we've had this conversation, me and you, back and forth on stream, in Discord, right? I don't care, you know, like, you should be able to play the game where you want to play the game. I understand there needs to be exclusives and stuff like that, but Final Fantasy, if Square Enix was owned by PlayStation, then by all means, make it exclusive for PlayStation, right? But it's not owned by either of the companies, and they shouldn't make it for one console and not the other. They should make it everywhere, right? It makes business sense for the company, but it makes really business sense for an MMO, right? Like, literally cutting off. Now, obviously, the Switch can't be a part of this because it's a not as powerful console, okay? But being off of one complete console in your MMO is just silly, right? It's just silly. I don't know if they're going to make it happen. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know, right? I don't play Final Fantasy 14. Is Final Fantasy 14 on PC as well? Is it PC and PlayStation 5 or just PlayStation? Right? Yes. Okay. So I think a lot more people, and I think this is the market they're tapping into, okay? Even though it's on PC right now, if it's part of Game Pass, right? And again, I don't know if it's going to be part of Game Pass. I'm saying if it is part of Game Pass, there's another story out there we're going to talk about in a second about, but more people, right? Game Pass is making more money than we thought. Game Pass is making more money than we thought. Okay, there's a breakdown that I posted in the Discord, but because now it's on Xbox Ultimate, if it is on Game Pass Ultimate, even more people get to play it because now it's part of Game Pass and they don't even have to pay. They don't have to pay that extra monthly fee, right? I mean, they're paying a monthly fee to be on Game Pass, but now it's an extra game on there. Now, again, I don't know if it's going to be on there, but it would be interesting. It would be interesting if that's what they did. Now, Dean says, I don't think Final Fantasy 14 will come to Game Pass because they need a subscription to even to play it, right? Not true. Not true. Look at ESO, right? Elder Scrolls Online, before it was even owned, before Bethesda and ZeniMax were owned by Microsoft, they threw Elder Scrolls Online onto Game Pass. Okay. That used to be a monthly subscription game. And now it's not a monthly subscription game. Now it's a paid for DLC. You can also pay for extra storage. And again, I don't play Final Fantasy 14, so I don't know. But 100%, you can still, if you can get people into your game without paying, okay, and make that extra income, they made their money by signing this deal. You see what I'm saying? Signing the deal with Microsoft to put it on the Xbox, okay? You'll have to maybe purchase the game, or if it's on Game Pass, you don't purchase the game. You don't need to buy a monthly subscription. It would just be part of Game Pass. And then they would make the money off of every microtransaction or whatnot off of that. Go on, Kylo. But again, if you're going to Xbox, can expand its player base and fan base, right? You could expand your player base by an additional 25 million people. Because how many people out of the 20, I don't know how many Xbox are out there. I think it's like, let's just say there's like 15 million, right? I know it's not as much as PlayStation, right? It's 15 million. How many out of that 15 million that own an Xbox are going to purchase Final Fantasy 14? Small percentage, right? We had those of you that are new to my channel or have never heard me speak before, we talked about Final Fantasy a couple weeks ago, and the player base is a very niche community in the grand scheme of things, right? It's fantastic on PlayStation because everyone knows it's on PlayStation. So they sold 3.3 million units of Final Fantasy 16 out of 38.5 million consoles that were sold. Well, even if Xbox, the S and the X, has 20 million units out there, 18, 15, whatever it is, that percentage of people that would buy that game is very minute. But if you put that on Game Pass, potentially everybody that owns an Xbox Series S and X and has Game Pass on the PC with Ultimate can now play, right? And we do know that people on, there's 17 million people that are play on PC Ultimate, okay? So that's 17 million people. That's consoles not sold. That's just people that are on PC that have Game Pass that can now play Final Fantasy 14 if it was on Game Pass down the road. There will never be a free-to-play version of Final Fantasy 14. It's too good. Comes out with huge content constantly. Don't say never, boss. See, I remember a conversation where Final Fantasy will never come to Xbox, and here we are. Okay? So don't say never. Never say never. Okay? You can say highly unlikely. Okay? But we'll see. Final Fantasy 14 Online or ESO, more popular than each other. I have played Final Fantasy 14, but not online. Final Fantasy 14 is mandatory subscription fee, but they do have free weekends, etc. It is until it isn't, right? Xbox just paid a lot of money towards them, so who knows? If it were to come to Game Pass, you might get the game free, plus all but the most recent expansions, but would still have to pay monthly fee. Would you pay the monthly fee? It makes too much money. It would make more money if they could open it up and anyone could get it because they were going to make the money off microtransactions. You just said it has 800,000 players daily. That's a lot of people making $13 a month. Sure. But that was the threshold, right? That's the saturation point. How do they get that? How do they get that over 1 million? How do they get that over 1.5 million? Right? You put it on Xbox, sure, but it's a smaller percentage of people that have an Xbox because I doubt this is running on the Xbox One. I doubt Final Fantasy 14 is going to go on the Xbox One. Maybe it does because it's on the PlayStation 4 right now, right? Maybe it'll go to the Xbox One, but I'm pretty sure it'll be the S and X. They're not getting around the subscription. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's put a pin in this, boss. And next year when it comes out and they announce it, and it comes to Game Pass, and you have to, like, think about this. Why would I pay a monthly fee on a game on top of the monthly fee I'm paying for Game Pass, right? Literally, ESO got rid of the monthly subscription and then charges you to get extra storage with the backs and gives you extra perks. Dean, me in the 90s. Sonic will never be on Nintendo. Right. There you go. And I'm not saying you're wrong, boss. Right? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying don't say never. Okay? It could easily... Right? I remember when I said that... This is before they announced Microsoft. I said, wouldn't it be weird if Activision got bought by Microsoft? And everyone's like, never going to happen. I mean, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Them paying for Game Pass is their Final Fantasy 14 monthly subscription as well. Right. Right. This is why I brought up Elder Scrolls Online. There used to be a monthly fee, but then they put it on Game Pass, and they got rid of the monthly fee because they're making money off the expansions. Okay, like they give you the base game for free, but then they charge you, right? Do you have to pay for the expansions that come out for Final Fantasy 14, or do they give those for free? Again, I don't know. I've never played. I think ESO is a monthly subscription is optional. Only if you want more storage. There's perks. You have to buy the expansions. So you're even making my case even better for me, boss. Right? You're even making my case better for me. It's doing the exact same. I guarantee you it'll do the exact same business model as Elder Scrolls Online. Final Fantasy 14 will come to Game Pass. It'll be free. The base game will be free. You'll get to play 60 levels of, right? It's 60 levels or is it 80 levels? I think it's 60 levels, right? You'll play up to level 60. You'll get the beginning game or free or for the $12, $11, whatever it is now for Game Pass, okay? And get the original Final Fantasy 14 online game for free. Okay, and then they'll charge for the DLCs because you'll like the game so much, then you'll pay for the DLCs, and then you'll pay for microtransactions, right? There's no way they're going to charge a subscription fee, okay? There's a potential of getting an additional 25 to 30 million people that instantaneously can play your game, okay? That have never been able to play your game before because they didn't want to spend $500 on a PlayStation. Now they can play it on the Xbox Game Pass. The Game Pass fee goes to Microsoft. No way they would take $13 of that fee and give it to Square Enix. No, but we don't know how the way the background works for it. So, for instance, if a movie's on Netflix or any other place, a subscription service, let's say you get Game Pass, right? And the only game you play on Game Pass is Sea of Thieves, okay? So one person plays Sea of Thieves nonstop all the time. They pay $11. I'm sure there's some sort of system behind the scenes that goes, okay, the percentage of person that's playing Sea of Thieves, what percentage are they playing? They're playing $11. It could be cents here, cents there, pennies here, pennies there, 10 cents here, whatever. That money, based on what you're playing on Game Pass, goes to that section. Okay? I'm assuming, because they want to keep track of this person. How many people that have Game Pass are playing this game right now? And that's the only game they play. How many people have Game Pass, but they only play Fallout 76? How many people have Game Pass, but only play Halo Infinite? How many people have Game Pass, but only playing Forza Horizon, right? Or what percentage? This person has Game Pass, and he plays Sea of Thieves 80% of the time, and he plays this other game 20% of the time. It's like residual checks, okay? Residual checks. And people are like, there's no way that would work that way. It's exactly how it works, okay? They pay out 3 cents here, 4 cents there, 5 cents here. I guarantee you that's how it works in the background, the percentage that you're playing. Right? The $11 is to get everything on here. Some games they pay out outright. Other games they have exclusive deals with, right? Their first-party titles, they're taking all that money themselves. You see what I'm saying? If it's a first-party title on Game Pass, they're not going cents and stuff. They own the company. If it's an independent game and it's so small, they already gave them the money outright. They're on their way making the next game. But if it's a third-party game, okay, a third-party game like Final Fantasy XIV, and that's the only thing you're playing on Game Pass, that percentage of the money, let's say the max is like 50%, right? Sort of like if a game, the other week we were talking about Steam, okay? Steam gives a percentage where I think it's a 30% cut, and then it goes down to 25%, or no, it goes from 20%, right? It's like a 20% cut, and then it goes up to 25% cut, then it goes up to 30, based on the units that you're selling and how many people are playing, right? How many people you sold it to. So I guarantee you that there's some sort of scaling behind the scenes for developers and whatnot for third-party games that didn't get bought outright to get put on Xbox. Like Tunic is not getting, they got their money up front. Usually about $30 to $50. $30 for just the regular expansion is like $60, I think, for the CE version. Of usually comes with a mount and all kinds of stuff, right? Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic did that, a monthly fee for $15 premium membership. Right, but it's free to play, right? It's free to play. I played it. I played the entire story without spending 1 cent on the thing. And then then you can purchase the premium. All right, let's find, there was a story I found. Let me see if I can bring it up in the submitted stories. I think I put it in here. Probably again, where's Microsoft is going to... that's not it. Okay, here it is. So, I don't know how accurate these stats are. We're just having a conversation, right? We're just having a conversation. So, apparently, again, I don't know how I can... We're just having a talk. The talk is Xbox Game Pass generates more money than we thought. We always said 250 to 300 million. Okay. Well, Game Pass generates 400 million a month with 25 plus million players. Now, we were just assuming before that 25 million players, we didn't know the breakdown, but numbers don't lie, right? Numbers don't lie. And 70 to 80% of Game Pass is Ultimate. 70 to 80% is Ultimate, meaning they're paying $16 a month now. Okay, starting on the beginning of this month. Okay, that's 17.5 to 20 million subs. Okay, of that chunk. Monthly revenue is 300 to 340 million just off Ultimate. Okay, 20 to 30% is on normal Game Pass, which is around 5 to 7.5 million. Okay, all depending on what scale it is, right? If it's 17.5, 17.5, then it would be the 7.5 million subs on the lower end. And if it's on the higher end, it would be 20 million subs there with the 5 million, because we know there's 25. That's the last number we know, 25 million. But we do know that there's 70 to 80% of the players have Ultimate and 20 to 30% have normal Game Pass, okay? Which the monthly revenue for that, for normal, is 55 to 82 million, okay? So because there's 70 to 80% of the people on PC, and we do know there's more people. There's 15 million people, right, that we know officially. Okay, it could be 17. It could be higher now. Okay, that they're making 300 to 340 million off that, and now they're making 55 to 82 million off of regular Game Pass. So they're making over $400 million a month, which is basically almost double, 1.5 times. Okay, because I was saying about 250 million is what I was saying. Right, I said, they make about 250 million. Now they're at 400 million. Okay, so they're bringing a hefty amount of chunk change
Thanks for
in there.
Becoming a member.
Kuda Pop, thank you very much for the 6 months. Welcome back. Good to see you. Thank you very much. 450 million. Holy shit, cha-ching. Right, it's almost at $500 million a month. Right, $500 million a month. So if it's making. Okay, if it's making that based off of, hold on a second. I'm trying to get my calculator here. So let's just do the 400 million, right? 400 million. We were saying 250 million. Right? That's what we always, me and Sarge always talked about. They're making $250 million. That's a Grand Theft Auto, right? Well, now they're doubling that, right? There's 400 million times 12. Oh wait, that's 400 million. That's 4.8 billion with a B every year. 4.8 billion. Okay. $400 million. We saw a story 3 weeks ago about, because of the FTC trial that was going on, that Horizon Forbidden West and Uncharted, or not Uncharted, The Last of Us 2 cost $212 and $220 million. Okay. Xbox is literally doubling that every month. They could make a studio from scratch, give them the budget of The Last of Us or Horizon Forbidden West, okay? And they could do 2 of those studios. They could literally make Horizon and Last of Us every month for the entire year. That's how many studios they can make at that budget, right? Do you see the difference of the money that Xbox is making off of not the highest quality of games? Most of the games on Game Pass, majority, right? This is not saying there's not good games on Game Pass. The majority of the games on Game Pass are games that you already own or older games that you didn't play and now you are. Okay? Then they're getting games day and date, which is the icing on top of the cake, right? It's not the opposite way around. It's not the cake is the day and date. That's the icing on top of the cake, right? The cake is the majority of games are games that you've already played or older games, and they're getting a second chance of living. It's the bargain bin type of games, right? Independent games. Those are the, but the icing on the cake is the day and date games, right? Unless it's Redfall. That's not icing. That's rotten, corroded cheese. Okay? that's what that is. But games like Starfield that come out, right? Games like Hi-Fi Rush, games like, even though Halo Infinite is damaged, it's a damaged brand, that's the icing on top of the cake of getting the other games. Because there are other games that are third party, like Grand Theft Auto is back on there now, right? There's so many games that are on there that people that are third party that come in, they play, and they can try different games, right? There's Bard's Tale on there. There's Baldur's Gate on there. There's a whole bunch of other games. Divinity is on there, right? There's so many things that are on Game Pass, and then there's the day and date. But now we know we have a number, right? And that's at the 25 million. Okay. Now let's say that gets to, because now they've switched it over from Game Pass to Game Pass Core. Anyone that had gold now all of a sudden has Game Pass. So that number now goes from 25, because gold didn't count for Game Pass before, but now it does. So now the 20% number, the 30% number that we're seeing over here, okay, this number here, the 20%, 30% of normal Game Pass, that's going to go up. There's going to be a lot more people going to that section, because now I don't know how many people, I don't know if they even give that number, but let's see. How many people had Xbox Gold? How many people had Xbox Gold? How many people have Xbox Gold? There's 25 million Xbox Live subscribers. You're looking at something like 12.5 million Xbox Live Gold subscribers. Okay. So, I don't know if that's 12.5 on top. So they just all of a sudden just get an additional 12.5 million Xbox Live, or I'm sorry, Game Pass members, right? So 12.5 million were paying for gold, and now they automatically get an upgrade to Game Pass, right? It's that sample, that taste. Here you go. So now that instantaneously goes up to the next level, which the next level is now, it was 5 to 7.5 million, and now all of a sudden that goes up to 17 to 19.5, right? An additional money. So now they're well over $500 million. They're over $500 million now every single month, right? That goal for Microsoft is to get Game Pass. They want to hit 100 million users on Game Pass, and they will do it. They will do it because they will keep buying companies up. They will keep putting stuff on the thing where they don't want exclusives. They're just saying, hey, you can get the game, you can play it over here, but you can also play it here, day and date, on Game Pass, right? This is why I keep saying Sony needs to be careful. One wrong step, one really bad game or movie could significantly hurt them in a comparison to Microsoft. Right? Look at the damage that Redfall did to Microsoft. Was there damage? Was there damage? Did someone have Redfall on Game Pass and said it was a bad game and they canceled their Game Pass membership? No. They went over to the next game. They went to the next game. They went to Exoprimal. That's on Game Pass, right? They're going to go to Starfield on Game Pass. They're going to go to the next game that comes to Game Pass, right? Did they cancel their subscription because I guarantee you the percentage of someone that says Redfall sucks, I'm out, is so tiny and small, okay, that it doesn't even matter. It's a blip on the radar. Because for that one person, or let's say 100 people that left, there was 1,000 people that came on because Starfield's coming out, right? So where if they screw up, it costs a big chunk because Microsoft can do what they want because they're making $400 million a month, right? $400 million a month. Ubisoft Quebec announced that they are canceling Immortals Phoenix Rising because of Assassin's Creed codename Red. Yeah, we read that on... Or did I not read it? It was supposed to be on the show on Thursday night, but I didn't read it. But I saw the story, Jesse. Ford says Hi-Fi Rush is amazing. Yeah, I still have to beat it. I need to beat the final boss. I would be one of those stubborn gold subs. Well, now you're a Game Pass member. Point chapter 8. This is why I don't understand people saying they can't afford to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to a developer games that will go on Game Pass. First of all, devs costs is spread over like 4 years. Exactly, chapter, right? This is what I'm saying, right? That $200 million budget that Last of Us had, or Last of Us 2 had, the $220 million, that's over 4 to 5 years, okay? Xbox is making that double per month for 12 months, okay? They could literally start Rockstar. They could make a brand new Rockstar game studio, right? There's plenty of talented people out there. They could bring them in, and they could start a studio and make another game. And this is why I'm so confused, but this is why Xbox is buying Activision and not taking that $70 billion and starting up their own companies, because to start up a company and to make a game is going to take some time, right? Instead, they just bought the company up. They have an instant. We're going to move on to the next story. You'll understand why in a second. They have this catalog of games that they can just throw onto Game Pass, okay? And it's not the ones you're thinking of. It's not the Calls of Duty, okay? It's the other catalog of games that they're trying to get onto Game Pass, okay? So instead of going out, again, because the cake of Game Pass is older games you've already played, games you already own, right? Older games. The icing is the brand new games that are coming out. So they could literally make a Grand Theft Auto size type of game. Think about this. Grand Theft Auto 6 supposedly is going to cost $1 billion to $2 billion to make the game. And they worked on that game for the last 7 years. Microsoft is making $4.8 billion. They're almost making $5 billion a year. They could literally make they can make a game like Grand Theft Auto 6 at the production value. They can make 2 of those games with money to spare. With money to spare, they could do it. Even if they assume their overhead is $100 million per month, just because, right? I can see Microsoft hiring people to make GTA a competitor. I don't think they want to do that. Microsoft and Kudapapa would rather pay money and put Grand Theft Auto on there for like 6 months. That is a better spending than to make a competitor to Grand Theft Auto. You see what I'm saying? They could just go out and pay someone. They don't need exclusives. They just go up to someone and say, hey, if it's a bigger company like Grand Theft Auto 6, and they're like, hey, Rockstar, we would love to put you on Game Pass for the first 6 months, instead of going out and spending $1 billion over the next 5 years. Right? So let's go to the next story. The next story I want to talk about is Transformers. Okay? Which I find really funny, because Transformers games from Activision seem to have been misplaced, which presents challenges for possible re-releases. Now, Hasbro, we had conversations a couple months ago. Hasbro's trying to revitalize their brands that they have, right? They're trying to take G.I. Joe and Transformers to the next level. They're trying to do Dungeons and Dragons. They're trying to do all that stuff, okay? And now we have a Transformers Reactivate coming out, but we have some great games like Transformers Fall of Cybertron, War of Cybertron. These are great games of 2010, 2012 that were phenomenal games, and they're owned by Activision. Well, Hasbro is like, well, Microsoft, since you bought Activision, you now own all the rights and all the things that Activision had at the time. Now, obviously, right now, you can't buy Transformers Fall of Cybertron or War of Cybertron, so much so that War of Cybertron, okay, is going for almost $200 because you cannot pick it up in a GameStop store. You cannot play it anywhere else if you want the hard copy of the game from the 360 days, okay? But now, Hasbro's like, hey, I would like you to put it on Game Pass. Can you take those games and put it on Game Pass, please? Okay, which is funny, because what company wants... Hasbro's begging Microsoft to be like, hey, can you put that on Game Pass, please? Because they're trying to get people hyped for the next game. So Hasbro wants Activision Transformers games on Game Pass. Okay, Transformers franchise owned by Hasbro has revealed that it would like Microsoft to revive several games from the series, possible as Game Pass titles. And this is what I was talking about. Older games that were popular that would bring in people and put it on Game Pass because it's well worth the money. Okay, so Game Pass titles. In the new interview, Hasbro said that it was hopeful that the games could be revived in the Microsoft completes its acquisition of Activision, which developer and publisher several games based on the popular intellectual property. The only problem here is that the original game files are several of Activision's Transformers games appear to have been misplaced. Misplaced? How do you miss the files? According to Hasbro, sadly, apparently Activision not sure what hard drives they're on in their building. Hasbro representatives explained to Transformers World VGC, quote, when a company eats a company and they eats the company, things get lost. And there's very frustrating. Hope that now that the deal is moving forward, Microsoft and Xbox, that they go through all the archives and every hard drive to find it all, because it's an easy Game Pass ad. We want those games back up for people to have a chance to play. Okay, Activision Transformers games were well received when they were first released, as developer High Moon Studios released Transformers War of Cybertron in 2010 and a direct sequel, Fall of Cybertron, in 2012. A third game in the series, Rise of Dark Spark, was published in 2014 and acted as a spin-off and crossover with also live-action Transformers films, although the third chapter earned mixed reviews. Now, all three games featured a multiplayer option in which players could battle one another and flexing some Cybertronian Transformers powers, but server support was discontinued in 2020. Just a few years earlier, Transformers Devastation, which was developed by Platinum Games, was originally digitally delisted. Several Transformers games have been developed in the last couple of years outside of Activision, and the upcoming title will also be the original store featuring a fan-favorite Robots in Disguise. Transformers Reactivate is a co-op game in development of Splash Damage, and also the home media front. Transformers Rise of the Beast is now available to watch on Paramount+. Okay, so Hasbro would like all their Transformers games to get onto Game Pass. Why do they want it on Game Pass? Obviously, they don't want to remake it, because Hasbro doesn't have the money to do that, right? They don't want to remake or remaster the Transformers games. They're like, these are great games. You don't need to remaster these. These games would be great if you just threw them on Game Pass. Okay. So yet another, right? I think they deleted it. Can you imagine though? You're like, I don't know where they are. Like I can understand that we don't own anything and everything's digital, but can you imagine a company just deleting files? They're like, yeah, game's out. We're done. Nothing to archive here. Like, what? What do you mean you can't find the games? They made Crackdown, but not really a GTA contender. No, it's not even close, Quintar. Crackdown's nothing like Grand Theft Auto. Nothing like it. What, they misplaced their old Transformers games? Yeah, all old games. Apparently, unless they want to make money from them, right? And then they would remaster everything and then charge you again. But Hasbro's like, yo, can you find those games and just throw them onto Game Pass, please? We would love residual checks from that. It got written over by Modern Warfare Warzone. They're like, hey, look, it's not like the company had a hard drive and like, it's not like my Xbox where my Xbox is like, you can't download this game until you make more space. Like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? So want to play those games on my PlayStation? I can't Bulls for Life. I can't even play. I tried it last night. I took War of Cybertron and put it into my Xbox, and it's an error. It doesn't let me play it. I have to get my Xbox 360 out or my Xbox One. I think I put it in my Xbox One, but I got to put in my Xbox 360 and play the game, right? Right. So even they delisted them. They got rid of them. You can't play them on the back scale, like on the newer systems. You have to get your old system out to play it. Yeah, but can you go back? Let's go back to. It's not like when I turn on my Xbox, it's like, you need more room, and I'm like, yeah, I got to get rid of a game, right? It's not like Activision's doing that, going, well, we're out of room. It's a hard drive. You have the game on the hard drive. It's so ridiculous to think that, oh yeah, we just misplaced it. We don't know where it is. Bobby Kotick has them. Yeah, he's using him as a footrest. Sounds like they really care about their properties. That makes them millions. Oh, the game's done. Just throw it in the closet. Yeah. How many? I wonder how many Let's see, because back then they actually kept track of. It was War. Oh, Fall of Cybertron. They kept track of them. Fall of Cybertron sold 100. That's not right. How many copies did War of Cybertron sell? Did it only sell 105,000 copies during North America debut? Debut. Okay, let's see. Game sales. Total sales? Do they have the total sales? I mean, this is back in 2010, 2012. Let's see. Gameplay, setting, plot, development, design, marketing, and release. That's the reception. They don't have the sales numbers anywhere. It's got to have something. Transformers game sales. All right, let's see if this. All my info was found on VG charts. I'm only doing 07 to Devastation. I'm not okay. So this is someone that did the sales, game sales, top sellers, game data. See if they have it here. Oh no, he's just okay. So let me make this bigger so you guys can see this. Okay, so Transformers the game on Wii sold 0.58 million. On 360 it sold 0.6 million. So almost 500,000, 500,000 copies, 600,000 copies, 400,000 copies, and 1.1 million copies on PlayStation 2. So the game sold over 2.5 million copies, which is good for a multi-platform game. Okay. That was Transformers Rise of the Fallen. Is that? Oh, that's the wrong game though. I wanna know Transformers. Video game charts, game sales, top sellers. I still find it very impressive that Transformers PlayStation 2, which was an exclusive, is the best-selling Transformers game with 1.29 million sold. DS. Rise of Dark Spark. Devastation. Where is... As a Fallen Cybertron. There's a surprising drop in sales, which is a great game. It could also be people were preparing for the next generation. That's low. 400,000, 400,000, 850,000 overall. It didn't even sell 1 million copies. Didn't even sell 1 million copies. That's very surprising. That is super surprising. Transformers Fall of Cybertron. I can't believe they don't have a total sales number back then. But then again, games back then that sold 1 million, 2 million copies, that was really good back then. So you can't play any old Transformers games. Not right now, at least on your, not backwards compatible on your system. So if you don't own a 360, like you traded it in, then no. If you have a system that it plays on, I think you can. I'm going to try this afternoon. I'm going to plug in my Xbox 360, and I'm going to see if I can play it. Yes, you can play old Transformers games, but they're locked at 30 frames per second. What is that? Why do I care about that, Gaming Fire? I can't play it on my Xbox Series X. Can I put it on my Xbox One? Also on PC too. Yeah, you could download it. You can download them on the PC. Only one. It's not on Steam. You can't buy it on Steam. Transformers Fall of Cybertron. Let's see. Download on Amazon. $49.99 PC download. It's a hell of a price there. $49 for a game that's 12 years old. Pretty solid. And then you have, let's see, Transformers War of Cybertron game, which you cannot get the digital download. Let's see, currently unavailable on Windows Vista. 360, you can buy it for $14.99. Yeah, but why would I buy it again when I own them? What's going on, Monster? Papa Amazon wants his money. Chapter 8 says, hopefully they find a hard drives. Anyone who has never needed to find a file at work has a 10 plus years old. Yeah, I can't imagine they can't find these games. Anyway, let's get back on track a little bit here, right? These are perfect games, right? So this is another thing that people didn't even think about, right? So when Microsoft buys Activision, we're thinking about putting Call of Duty on Game Pass, or you're putting but all the back catalog games that Activision has, once they find their hard drives, right? All those games, all those old games can be thrown on Game Pass, which then raises the value because everyone's like, well, I don't want to play any of those games. But there's people out there that buy those systems, like the miniatures Nintendo or Atari or Sega, because of nostalgia. Okay. If I'm already paying the $13 or whatever the hell it is, $16 for Ultimate or $10, $11 for regular Game Pass, and all of a sudden now you have Transformers Devastation, you have Transformers was Transformers, is this Activision? Yeah, it's Activision, right? So Devastation, right? Devastation is Activision. So you can put Devastation, you can put Transformers Fallen Order, or Fall of Cybertron, War of Cybertron, Rise of the Spark. You could put all those games and every other Activision game that they've ever had in the past, Splinter Cell and all those other... Wait, Splinter Cell Activision? Yeah, right? You could put all those... No, Splinter Cell's not Activision. I forget what other game is... but you know what I'm saying. I can't think of the other game that I was thinking of. But you could put all those games on Game Pass, and the value of the cake, okay, which is all the old titles, games you've owned in the past, things that you can't play because maybe you traded in your system at some point, you don't have it anymore, you can now play it on Game Pass. This is why Phil Spencer sticks with, we want you to play your games where you want, anywhere, anytime you want, on what you want. Because of nostalgia, man. I can't imagine that Activision's lost these hard drives. Somebody at Activision knows. You can't. I have a fucking vault, okay, of all my hard drives and know what's on them because I labeled them with a label maker, okay. And then all my folders are labeled inside the thing. I have things that are like 15 years old on hard drives. I know what they are. Okay, and I have backups of backups. You're telling me a multi-billion-dollar company doesn't have backups of the games they've worked on that made them millions and billions of dollars? That's crazy to me. Spider-Man Web of Shadows? Oh, I totally forgot about that. Right? That is so asinine to think. Yeah, they just lost it all. We don't know where it is. Yeah, the old Spider-Man games, weren't they? They were exclusive as well, right? They were Activision titles. Like the older ones? I remember I used to play them. I'm sure they have them somewhere. They better. Can you imagine though that because Hasbro still owns the rights to those games, right? You still own the rights to those games. The fact that Hasbro doesn't have a copy of them is kind of weird, doesn't it? They own the licensing of it. That would be this would actually be huge, right? So the Amazing Spider-Man, right? And then the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the ones that came out like 2012, 2014, 2010 and all that, right? Those games are all made by Activision. All Spider-Man. All these Activision games, Spider-Man 3, they're all Activision games. The Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Friends and Foe, Spider-Man Edge of Time, Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro, Spider-Man, no, not that one. Let's see, that's Sega. Here's another one, Spider-Man 2002, like the older one, right? That's Activision. Ultimate Spider-Man, that's Activision. Spider-Man Web of Shadows, that's Activision as well. Spider-Man 2 from 2004, that's Activision as well. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, that's Activision. Spider-Man 2000, that's Activision. Right? So, besides the Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2 that's coming out for PlayStation, literally every other Spider-Man in existence, except like 2 or 3 other ones from like the DS days, are all owned by Activision. Which all those games could literally potentially be tossed on to Xbox. Right? And that's just the Spider-Man titles they could throw onto Game Pass if they wanted to. I don't think they are, but a lot of people would play them. Be like, we don't need Spider-Man. Those other past Spider-Man games were good. Are they the Spider-Man of what PlayStation has? No. But it's very interesting. Back when Spider-Man games were good, look, the Spider-Man game that Sony has, one of my favorite games. One of my favorite comic book games of all time. I love Spider-Man game. But I also love those old Spider-Man games, man. Here, look. I'm gonna bring up. Let me bring up the graphics of. Okay, this is Webs of Shadows. This is Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Okay. The graphics. This is from 2008. Do you know what I mean? This is 2008. I'm okay with this. We're not talking an 8-bit side scroller here. Spider-Man on Atari. I'm just throwing shade to throw shade. The new games are good as well. I don't begin me the same feeling as the old ones of some reason. I mean, look, he's swinging. Does it look like shitty swinging mechanics? No. Right? Now, obviously, the new games are fantastic. Okay? If your biggest concern is, well, where's this web going? Bro. Okay? But potentially, the Transformers games could all come onto Game Pass. All of Activision's catalog of games. Obviously, they have to like cross the I's, dot the, or cross the I's. Cross the T's, dot the I's. Okay? And they have to contact, Marvel or whatever and be like, hey, Activision, we got these titles, we're putting them on Game Pass. They might have to open up something, But for the most part, they have all of these games, and that would be pretty shitty, right? Because they'd be like, yeah, we have Spider-Man, the PlayStation 5 has just 3 Spider-Man games, but we have 15. Right? They have all these old games and catalogs they can go back to. Now, obviously, not all these games are the greatest games of all time, but there are some gems in there, right? I love the other Spider-Man games. Here, let me get you another Spider-Man game that Activision made. Okay, let me get you. Right, this is 2000. This is 2005. Right, let me get this one for you. This is Ultimate Spider-Man. Okay. Right? This is Ultimate Spider-Man. Another fun game. Another great game. Okay? They put this cell shade stuff in the new game. Right? Another Spider-Man game that's great. Right? Let me give you another Spider-Man game. Here, this is Spider-Man game from 2002. Oh, that's the walkthrough. You know, yeah, this is here's the full game. This is the 2001. We get into the open world. See if they have some open world swinging that they did. This is based on the movie. Right? Look at the swinging in this one. This is a little bit sad. This is a little bit sad. Right? Great at the time, 23 years ago. People loved this game back then. You think this is a tactic to get PlayStation to complete its buy-up of companies as well? That's gonna happen regardless. Bulls for life. That's gonna happen regardless. Sony's gonna buy up companies. Microsoft's gonna buy up companies. Amazon might throw their hat in the ring and buy companies. Right? Amazon right now is in the process of building MMOs. And their own studio. There's gonna be, and then what we know what Sony's doing right now is that they're making 12 live service games. They're trying to pump in money to make money, like basically like Xbox is making, like Microsoft is making with that. Right? So they're trying to compete and change different things. Now, there's another story that I don't have because we're done with our main stories, but there's a story of I just lost my train of thought. Ratchet and Clank, they're not selling very well on PC. Okay, and people are like, well, it's a single player game, and if you want to buy that game, you would have bought a PlayStation 5. So they're saying that PlayStation, and this is people that are on like PC that are PlayStation fans that want the game. They don't want to wait 2 years for a game, right? And I think, and I've said this in the past, I think PlayStation is going to be forced to start to close that gap where a game comes out and then it's going to be like 6 months instead of a year or a year and a half. Okay? Because you're killing the value of the game when it comes out. If you release it on PlayStation, you release it on PC at the same time, sure, you're not selling PlayStations, but the person that has a PC is not going to go out and buy, if they're a PC fan, they're not going to go out and buy a PlayStation to get your game. They just wait. Right? And then by that time, there's like, we're not really interested because there's other new games coming out. PC guys like new games, right? Majority. Obviously, there's people out there that they'll buy old games and then put them in their Steam library and wait for it, whatever, or their wish list. But majority of the population wants the newest games. And if PC doesn't get your game and there's another game coming out, they're going to go play that game. So Sony needs to adjust and make that time frame where God of War Ragnarok comes out and it comes out 6 months later on PC, or the same time. Again, the people that own PCs are not going to go out and buy a PlayStation because they're PC guys. So you're not losing sales. You're losing. I'm sorry. You're losing sales because you're not putting it out at the same time, right? You wouldn't lose sales if you just put it out on PC and PlayStation at the exact same time. Well, Amazon is not making the new Tomb Raider. Amazon has the rights to Tomb Raider. I believe Crystal Dynamics is the ones making Tomb Raider, if I'm not mistaken. I can't wait for the Spider-Man X-Men crossover game Insomniac is working on. It could be the third game, right? That third game that they don't know what they're making. Spider-Man 2000, Spider-Man 2002 movie game. Spider-Man is swinging his Uncle Ben's grave. Is there much work in making them work on the new hardware? I can imagine a brilliant marketing strategy where they trickle them out in order as they convert them. I'm not sure on how it would work of the backwards compatibility chapter 8. I'm sure there's some work behind it, but at the same time, their strategy is Game Pass, right? You want the most value possible on Game Pass, and since they own all those titles now in the back end, now that they make $400 million a month, I'm sure they can throw some money at it to make them work on the Game Pass to get them out there. Sony can't compete with Microsoft in making like 200 to 400 million per month or whatever. 30 was saying Sony is like a MA and PA store in comparison to Microsoft. Oh, mom and pop. Is that what you're saying? Mom and pop store. Activision dressed Tony Hawk in Spidey suit doing very tricks. Spidey was unlockable character. Oh, was he? I forget that. Tony Hawk? That game was terrible. The movie tie-in, the most Activision Spidey games was awful, except for Ultimate Spider-Man. If that was them, though, there was an amazing Spider-Man as well. Dave Rose, let me show you this one. These were actually pretty good. Let's see. There was the Ultimate Spider-Man, and then there was where's the Edge of Time? Oh, this is the one that came out in 2012. Okay, this is a game that just came out. This is the 2012 one. Right? This is not Insomniac's. This is Activision's. I mean, look at the swinging. Right? Everyone's like, oh, the swinging in Insomniac's is fantastic. The swinging in this one was fantastic. This game was a great game as well. They made 3 of these. There's Amazing Spider-Man. There's Amazing Spider-Man 2. Was there a third one? I forget what the... I don't think it was called The Amazing Spider-Man. Makes sense. I think only a couple of major PlayStation titles will do well on PC. The rest will struggle. Right, unless they put them out at the same time, Reese. Reselling a PC right now, I dropped almost $1,000 off my laptop in the message and asked, yeah, because people can just buy a new one. You know what I mean? Technology moves so fast, Dabstick, it's very hard to get rid of a PC. Just bought the Transformers game and loaded it up on Steam. Can't believe I didn't play that game. It's a fantastic game. You're talking about, did you get the War of Cybertron? Is that what you got, Quintar? Which one makes more per month? GTA Online at its peak or Xbox Game Pass? I don't know. That'd be hard to... I think it would have to be Game Pass, because if they're making $400 million a month, making $4.8 billion, I think Rockstar was out making like $1.2 billion a year. Marvel Entertainment on YouTube, San Diego Comic-Con developers and cast talks about Spider-Man 2. It's very interesting. It's 52 minutes. I'll have to look at it. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow, Jesse. Is that the Amazing Spider-Man 1 or 2? That's 1. That's the Amazing Spider-Man. I'm also trying to figure out Why Rockstar won't just give us Superman. We know they could do it. Superman is, we've talked about this, Water. Superman is such a hard character to make in a video game. It's like putting a cheat code in. You have to have a good story, and you have to make him go up against certain characters. Like he's just, you know what I mean? I have War of Cybertron. Sarge has got the Fall of Cybertron. So he's gonna bring it up to me in like 3 weeks when he comes up for my son's birthday. So I'm gonna borrow that, and we're gonna play through the Fall of Cybertron, and we're gonna play through the War of Cybertron, because I'm in a Transformers mood, and Transformers Reactivate. I would like to see. Hopefully that game comes out soon. I don't care if it's alpha, beta, but we're gonna play through those games. If I play it live on stream or if I do uploads, I'm gonna have something. Superman and the Hulk totally deserve a new game each. The problem with Hulk Monster is the same thing with Superman. Yeah, I'm excited for that game. I'm trying to keep my expectations low, Water, for Transformers Reactivate. Here, this is Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Fall of Cybertron is the first one that came out in 2010. Wait, how did you get Fall of Cybertron? I can't find it. You said you downloaded it on PC? Oh, Fall of Cybertron is the sequel. War for Cybertron is the one in 2010. Yeah, I have Fall. Sarge has the War. You got this cover. This is what you got. Yeah, you could buy this digitally right now. Yeah. You can't get War. War of Cybertron is the one that came out in 2010. Do you have both, Sarge? I thought I had both, but I can't find it. Look how crazy this is, right? Look how crazy this is. I want you guys to see this, right? You can't buy these, right? You can buy the Nintendo DS version. Look at the 360 version on Amazon. $219. $219. And then if you try to buy it on Windows Vista, you can't. It's unavailable. This Nintendo Wii, $14.99. 360 is not available. Right? PlayStation 3, not available. The Wii is $14.90. Right? You can't buy it. You can't buy this game, the 360 version of Transformers War of Cybertron. It doesn't exist. So if you have a copy of War of Cybertron, you have a very rare thing in your hands. Like you cannot find it. It does not exist. Here, I just clicked on this one. It's 106.58. Let's see, PlayStation, $92. like it's crazy. $106. Can't buy it. I can get it for PC, $79.95. $79 for a game that's a decade old. Do you know why it's so good or so high? Because the game is great. Let me show you some gameplay. All right. This game, the multiplayer of this game was fantastic. They nailed this game. This game gets me excited for Transformers Reactivate. Go on, YouTube looker. They nailed the transformation. They nailed the when they were in their vehicle form on Cybertron. The multiplayer of this game was fantastic. So much fun. Monster says maybe Hulk turns back to Banner, then tried Superman needs to fly into the sun to regenerate. The problem with those characters is because they're so strong. Like, who do you go up against? It just feels like you have a cheat code on the whole time. I think the sounds sound good too. Hold on.
What are you waiting for? Call in the bombers. Transmitting the coordinates.
Brawl! This is Starscream.
Like the voice acting.
Your request is denied. I won't have you.
At the top of the chasm wall.
Oh, Soundwave's voice.
We'll lure Omega Supreme up there and use the Autobot guns against him.
War is first, fall is second.
I don't like it. It's too quiet. Why the ceasefire? Heads up! Got a boot straight ahead!
And if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I remember correctly, you could play as the Decepticons, and you could also play as the Autobots. And it's two sides of the story. Just from this alone, reactivate should be badass. Just get Fires of Rubicon, similar gameplay. It's not Transformers. Yes, both sides. Yeah. So, like, I can't wait. I can't wait for Transformers Reactivate because obviously I'm picturing this and going, the stuff I've seen, I'm excited for the screenshots, the stuff that we saw, the leaked footage, right? But this to me is just fantastic. Okay, I would love if they put these on Game Pass. All right, so that's the story that we were talking about. We were talking about that Hasbro wants Activision or Microsoft to take the Activision Transformers games and put them on to Game Pass. They made toys for the game that's coming out now. Yeah. We had that leak 6 months ago about toys coming out for Reactivate. We talked about it in the past, Stealth, that we said, what if they did it like the Amiibos, where you would buy the toy and then you could put it inside the game? I don't know if they're doing that, but Magic, this is old. This is not Reactivate. This is the game that came out 13 years ago. We're bringing this up because they're talking about taking this game and the other game and putting them on Game Pass. Hasbro wants Microsoft to take the Activision titles that they created for the Transformers games and put them on Game Pass. Yeah, if Reactivate comes out and it's like this, I'm happy. I'm happy. If Battlefield, but instead of classic traditional, you have Transformers with destructible environments, 30 versus 30, game set match. I'd take it. I would take a Battlefield game. I would take a Battlefield game as Transformers. Yeah, they said they lost the hard drives, which, come on, right? We just talked about this. Like, how are you losing the hard drives of this stuff? Well, the stuff that we saw, Magic, the game that was before Splash Damage took over, the screenshots that we saw, there's no cell shade. It looks phenomenal. This is War of Cybertron. This is a game that came out that you can't find anymore. If you own a hard copy of this game, you have a very collectible game here. This game is right now is selling used for $106, $219. You can get a digital copy, I think, on computer for like $90. Okay. Then there's the Fall of Cybertron, which I have. That you can't play on the new systems. You have to get your old systems out to play it. Okay. There's no backwards compatibility because they got delisted or whatever off the thing. The Transformers games, well, I shouldn't say the last. There's 3 Transformers games that are just phenomenal games. There's Transformers Devastation, there's War of Cybertron, and there's the Fall of Cybertron. Both games are phenomenal. There are games, Gamescom this month, in August. Maybe Transformers Reactivate be showing up, 50-50 chance. Man, I hope so. I hope so. I hope we hear something. We haven't heard shit from them since the Game Awards. Now we're at the end of July. August starts tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I wanted to bring up, I had some thought process while I was on vacation, right? That I listen to a lot of talk radio and stuff. And yes, this show is me talking the entire time about news stories and showing you clips and stuff like that. But I was wondering if it would work if I did something like they do on talk radio, where I would open it up to members, right? I'm not taking anything away from anything from the stream. I'm trying to give people that are members of the stream that want to go more than just typing in chat. Like, I don't know if I want to do a recording where you guys can, like, you can do it live on air. You can call in through Discord, ask a question. It's not more of a back and forth. It's more of like a call in, ask a question type of thing, and then I talk about it. Or if there's like a recording that you guys can call in, because I think it would bring more to the channel. That a lot of people don't do this stuff on YouTube, and I'm always doing stuff that's not popular but then becomes popular. I'm like ahead of the curve on a lot of the stuff that I do. And a lot of the things that I do, there's people with bad microphones and stuff like that. So there would be prerequisites if you're going to be a member, right? I want to bring value to you guys, right? So if you have like a bad microphone, it won't be good for the show, right? So obviously, if you're a member, you could call in, but it would be like a one and done thing, right? So like you would call in, ask a question, I would speak on it or whatnot. Like, and then we go on to a different topic. You can't call back in. You see what I'm saying? I want to bring value, but I also don't want to have the same person call in 15 times in the show, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's like a call in. It's like sports show. If you ever listen to sports talk radio, they always call in. They're like, "Hey, what do you think of I don't know, Mike Trout? You know, he went 0 for 4 yesterday. Do you think something's wrong? How do you think the Angels could? Whatever, right? Type of stuff like that, right? So instead of typing, because I read everything you guys say in chat, right? But I also want to start to lean into members because people become members. People are gifted memberships, but I want to give that extra value to why do I want to be a member, right? Why do I want to be a member? Well, if you're a member, you can obviously call on the show and you can have a conversation live on air, right? Type of thing, like stuff like that. So I don't know what you guys think about that. If some of you guys will participate, I want people to participate. I don't want to do it and like one person calls in once in a week, type of thing. Yeah, something like that, Dolphin. You know what I mean? We're a very small community. And I want to try to like lean into more things because what happens is obviously I want more people to come and listen to the show, right? And if I answer all questions that are in chat, then it kind of like loses like if more people come in, we have 23 people here now, 25 people here now, right? If I read everyone in chat, it starts to build up. And then if now everyone calls in, you see what I'm saying? You gotta separate Now, obviously, I'm still going to. I could do the question thing in chat. People that don't want to call in, they can write a question in. Maybe I only answer questions from members, but I still read chat. So if you're not a member, I still read. Like I read monsters, I read other people's chats and stuff like that in chat because we're small. But if we start to get more people in here, there's got to be a way to differentiate and keep it going. Exactly. Because let's be honest, I tell it how it is. A lot of people don't know how to do, they don't know how to talk, right? A lot of people are introverts. They don't know how to talk. They get a little nervous when they're on the air and stuff like that. So it could bring the show down. But at the same time, if we start building stuff up, then obviously it'll work itself out. It'll be better. Come on, Stubby. Stealth gives a 1 gifted membership. Lino got it. Gifted membership from Stealth Gaming. Thank you much for that, Stealth. So let me know what you guys think about that, right? Because I want to change the show a little bit. Because in the mornings, I'm not very happy about the gaming space right now. Okay, games that I thought I would be interested in, I'm not interested in. I like doing these talk shows. You guys call in or talk in here because you like me going over topics and having conversations and stuff like that. So I want to lean into that, and I want to make you guys, and I say guys, obviously it's general. I want to make you all part of the show, right? I want to make you all part of the show because you guys come here to, you know, if it's just for me or if it's me talking about the news or me talking about just having conversations about stuff. I want to do more of that. In the evenings, we're going to be shrinking down the play thing. It's still going to be 2 hours. I've been going over 2 hours. I've been going to like I start at 8. I usually go to like 11 or midnight.
Thanks for becoming a member.
What I'm gonna start doing now is we're gonna do 8 to 10. It's gonna be like a hard out at 10, and then after 10, I'm gonna make videos to do breakout videos to start uploading videos again because I haven't been doing that. Okay, so it's gonna be like news stories, different topics that I'm just gonna post up there because a lot of people don't come into the live shows, right? I'm gonna start making videos again like I did for Gotham Knights or for Transformers Reactivate and stuff like that. So I'm going to start making content like that again. And it's worth better for my time to build the channel up. People don't come to the live shows, okay? To get people to come to the live shows, I have to do the upload stuff. So we're going to start trying to push. So we're still doing the 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. We're still doing we're still doing the morning streams from 10 to noon. And we're still doing the night shows from 8 to 10. But now I'm going to do hard out at 10, around 10, and then I'm going to do content off the air to upload for the week. Maybe do it in the evening as well. Someone was lurking and watching. Yeah, we could do that as well in the evening. But I'm gonna do some uploads in the evening. I have very limited time with the life that I do with my son starting school again. I go back to those type of hours. So. And then the gameplay that we're doing, I'll be honest, I know you guys love watching me play games, those of you that are here, but it does nothing. It does nothing for the growth of my channel. It's more entertaining for the people that are already part of my channel. So I got to start making stuff that are growth of the channel. Live does not grow the channel. YouTube is all about uploads and shorts and stuff like that. So I got to start making that content, but I don't have any other time. Time is time. So the time I have to do is I have to make those content at night for the remainder of the week or whatever. Starfield soon, yeah. But even then, I can do Starfield. Those uploads are going to be Starfield episodes. We're going to do the Captain's Log type of thing. I'm going to try to do the Captain's Log type of thing. Yeah, I got to do the algorithm. We've been stuck, and obviously I'm not preaching to you because you guys are here. But we've been stuck at the 1370. It goes up 2, it comes down. It goes up 2. I'm getting no growth for the channel. So I'm getting no growth for the channel. We have a very dedicated community here. Very dedicated community. I don't have time for Baldur's Gate. If I pick it up, it'll be down the line. Water. I don't have time. Right now, August 15th, we have Wayfinder coming out. We'll probably pick that up and play that for a bit. Then we have Starfield coming out. Then maybe we hear some news about Transformers Reactivate. I think there's like one other game that I'm interested in. I've lost complete interest in Diablo, right? You guys saw me in Discord last night. I think I posted it. I have lost complete and utter interest in Diablo 4 as far as the business model that they have going on there. And I knew I was going to be that way going in, but the season has nothing for me. Absolutely nothing for me. Okay? Doing the same dungeons to collect hearts, to make my character, and playing the same game, I'm good. I played it once. I played through the story. I don't need to level up anything else. I tried with the druid. I played for like 2 hours. And I was just like, I don't like the loop. So Diablo 4 is done. Exoprimal is just so repetitive. And I know it opens up, and I did some research. There's a 10-player raid in Exoprimal, but you have to be like level 39 to 40, and I don't feel like putting that much time in to get in there to do nothing, right? So I watched someone do the raid, and you get nothing. There's no like loot that you're getting or anything like that. So I'm losing interest. I'm losing interest in Exoprimal as well, right? Not that I had a full on interest. I was intrigued by it. But I'm just like, I'll come back 6 months from now and it'll be a better game. Right? What's going on, Super Dave? I paid $90 for Diablo and I'm level 20. I paid $90 for Diablo. I got my 160 hours and plus some. And I got my money's worth. There's no regrets of me playing Diablo 4. I liked what I played, but I am just not a fan of the seasons. Have you thought about Armor Core 6 at all? I've never played any of the Armor Core. Not to say that because I didn't play Armor Core 1 through 5 that I'm not going to be interested. It's just something that I'm not a big what's it called? Like a Dark Souls fan. I don't know if it plays the same, if it's going to be like that like type of punishment type of thing. But I'd rather wait for Transformers than to dive into Armor Core. And I know we don't know when Transformers comes out and Armor Core comes out next week or whatever. I just no interest. I have no interest in Armor Core. I only played EXO once. It's so repetitive. It's not a bad game, but it's, I'll be honest, it's not a great game either. It's not a Souls game at all. From the content that I watch, it doesn't intrigue me in any way. Oh, I saw the Path of Exile 2 Water, and then when they said it was coming out beta next June, I was like, ooh. I was like, oh well. I wasn't a big fan of Path of Exile. I literally played it the other night to like give me a refresh. I was like, yeah, no. Not a big fan of it. I would like an action-adventure Gundam Wing game. I mean, we had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. That's coming out on Game Pass. We'll check that out with a group of you guys. We'll play that. What else we got coming out? Like, there's little games here coming out here and there. You would be bored by Mech Warrior? I would be bored by it? Or I wouldn't be bored? Well, Crowded, I'm glad I didn't purchase Exoprimal, that it's on Game Pass, because there's stuff there that it's just so repetitive. It's so repetitive. It's the same stuff, and the only reason it's different is if you change exosuits. But I hate it's Gambit. It's the Gambit format of two teams going at each other in this race type of thing, and it's just so non fun. It's like the moment it's fun, but the length of it's just the same. And more game modes open up, and it gets better after like 10 or 15 hours. It should be good right off the bat. I shouldn't have to wait 10 to 15 hours to get there. Like, imagine, right? Imagine, let's compare to Diablo, right? Diablo has story, but the story is like you go wherever and it tells a story. But if I only had three dungeons to go in, and I played each dungeon, and then I got to play the same 3 dungeons over and over and over. Basically, that's what you're doing in Diablo anyway, right? It's just different landscapes. But that's what Exoprimal is. Exoprimal is the same 3 maps, same 4 maps, and then once you go up, you finish an hour, four matches, like in an hour, or 5 matches in an hour, or whatever. Then all of a sudden they add another map, and now you have 4 maps, or they add 1 new map. And then they're like, "Oh, well, you're fighting wolves the entire time." And they're like, "Oh, we're gonna add a bear now. Now you're fighting a bear." And you're like, "Okay, great." It's just so like whatever. What was the Gotham news? Night news? Gotham Knights. There was code that people deciphered, or not deciphered, read off of Steam, that there's going to be some DLC coming, and now people are hoping that the Gotham Knights DLC that's coming in. There was Two-Face they found inside the files, and they also found Batman. So they're assuming that maybe you're going to be playing as Batman. Now, it could be a heroic assault. It could be a DLC that you're playing. Maybe it's a prequel type of thing. It could be a story type of stuff. I think they should lean in. I talked about it in the beginning of the show, Crowded, or Dolphin, that they should lean in on the case files. I had a video 8-9 months ago that I did, and that's what they should do. That's what the news was. It was potential DLC coming out. I can't believe they released a game with 4 maps and the maps are boring. Well, there's more maps. You just have to go through the game. It's like hour 5, they add a new one. Hour 7, they add a new one. Kuda Papa says, "I'm an assault mech guy, slowly plodding around with 40 gigatons of weapons strapped to my mech." I don't think I've ever played that. There was a game I played called, you were some sort of mech warrior. It was like a tower defense game. I don't think I've ever played that mech game either. Yeah, I like Gotham Knights. And I'm not mad at games that I play and then put down. That's what games are supposed to be. Like, I played, I had fun, I put down. I'm not giving shit for games like Diablo for putting down. I'm just not interested in the seasons, right? I'm also not interested in Exoprimal because the game's not done. The game's not done. It's a bad implementation of what they're doing. I know Mo's playing. He's like level 100 or whatever. He's played 100 matches, and he likes it. And that has nothing to do. I don't like the loop in Exoprimal. It's just not a game for me. I didn't like Remnant 1. I watched gameplay, Crowded, of Remnant 2. It looks great. I don't know if I like it. Yeah, it's like a Souls game. Yeah. So there's a lot of things. I'm just not hyped about a lot of stuff right now. And I don't know if it's like me, right? Maybe I'm going through, like, your palette changes every 7 years. Maybe I'm going through that cycle right now with games. I'm looking for, like, particular games that I know what I like, I know what I don't like. There's a lot of games that I know I don't like. Yeah, look, I think I put enough there, like, real time. You know what I mean? Like, I put in, what was it, like 2 hours, 4 hours, like 5 hours of stuff, right? What you see there is what you get. I put an additional, like, 3-4 hours in on top of that, like, playing the game. It's the same. They add 1 new dinosaur, 1 new map. Okay, it's the same, right? Instead of killing all the dinosaurs and knocking off things, now you're standing in one spot and protecting a section, right? They add a couple, slowly add different modes. Oh, Super Dave, I knew it was going to be like that in the very beginning. I said it was going to be in the very beginning. I said it, and now it's here, and I'm like, eh. Little Crypto Monster, thank you very much for the $20. I love your channel. I appreciate that, and I thank you for supporting us. I appreciate that. Let's see. Do I have a? I think I have a crowd. Do I have a crowd? I don't have a crowd. Here, I'll give you a.
Hello, what have we here?
I have to put clapping in here. I missed the. I don't have the soundbite for that. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Did you watch the trailer for season 2 of Loki? Starts October 6th. I did not. I did not, Stealth.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
I, Greenheart, your Chanel, hugging face.
Your Chanel. I like how it said your Chanel. I Greenheart your Chanel face. Yeah. So we're still gonna do the news in the morning, and we're gonna do the Let's Plays gameplay in the evenings. But we're gonna cut it off at 10, and then I gotta make some YouTube algorithm stuff. I gotta get videos out there to start growing the channel again, because I haven't done it in like 3 months, 4 months, and I need to grow the channel. I need to get motivated and do stuff for that. Get more people in here. Get more people to take the content. Have more, because the vision in my head is to have obviously more people to come and watch the news show and have more conversations with people in the mornings, and then more people to play to show games at night. So instead of just, I mean, I love y'all, but I want more of you in here. And the people I'm talking to can't hear me because they're not here. So we need to get those people in here. I gotta be honest, since games went to $70, I don't think I bought a single game at full price. I bought Destiny expansion and came out, and that's it. I bought Hogwarts, I bought Jedi Survivor, and I didn't buy Diablo. Quintar purchased Diablo, but we got the 90. Yeah. But Quintar gifted me a super chat to buy Diablo 4. So I bought 2 games so far this year. And we've played a couple of good. Oh, you know what I did buy? I think we'll play that tonight. So I bought Oxenfree 2. I bought Oxenfree 2. Oh, I got my money's worth. Well, I got my money well worth my money for all those games. Hogwarts Legacy, we got over 100 and something hours in there. Love the story. Jedi Survivor, we got, I think we got about 70 hours in. I'm still playing that a little bit. And then Diablo, I got my 160 hours in there. We're good there. AEW didn't last long. Well, games for me, Super Dave, games for me, like I know what that game was before it came out. Okay. I enjoyed the game. But the problem is, just like the majority of people when they go see a movie, they tell you if that movie's good or bad, right? The majority of my viewers, when I watch a movie or when I play a game and then upload that game as a Let's Play or anything, if it doesn't get viewership, I got to stop playing it. I can't continue playing a game that no one's watching. Right? I can't do it. Like, I play games for story-wise. Like, for me, like, if no one was interested in Jedi Survivor, I don't give 2 shits, because I'm going to play through the story, complete it, and then I'll put it down. But games that, like, loop around and no one's interested in it, it's wasting my time. Yeah, so we're going to play Oxenfree 2. We're going to play that to completion. It's a short game. It's like 8 hours, I think. And we can complete it. So we'll do that a couple nights. We're still playing Division 2. I got Battlefield and Starship Troopers. We have those games that I can play and talk to chat at night where it doesn't take all my attention away, you know? Oxfree's a great game. So Oxfree 2 just came out like 2 weeks ago. I purchased it when I was on vacation. So we're gonna play that, Lurker. We'll probably play that tonight. I don't know. I'll take a look at it. Kuda Papa. I do like my war games, right? Like, I'm having a blast in BattleBit. I know people don't care about BattleBit, but I'm having fun in BattleBit. And if I'm not having fun in the game and no one's watching the game, is different than me having fun in the game and no one's watching the game. If that makes sense. Isn't there a game called Eternal something coming out? Eternals. I don't know what game you're talking about, Super Dave. Nothing's coming to my head. Oh, you know what I watched? So a couple of movies I watched. I talked about it on Thursday last week. I watched Black Adam. Good movie. Not a great movie. I understand why it got crapped on, but good movie. Good action film. I watched Dungeons and Dragons. Great movie. Fun movie. Good time. Liked the movie. Watched Dungeons and Dragons. I watched Mission Impossible 7. Fantastic film. If you guys haven't gone to see that, go see that. Okay? I'm sad that Mission Impossible 8 is going to be delayed because of the actor stuff that's going on right now. But Mission Impossible 7, absolutely loved it. Fantastic. Tom Cruise, beautiful. Okay? Not Tom Cruise himself, just what that movie did. Like, just super action. Good. Haley Atwell, loved her in Mission Impossible 7. Did a fantastic job. Those of you that don't know who Haley Atwell is, she's Captain Carter in Marvel, or Peggy Carter. She's Captain Carter and Peggy Carter. Got to see Oppenheimer. I can't see Oppenheimer in the theaters. Like, we went to the theaters the other night to watch Mission Impossible with my mom and my dad, and my wife stayed home with the kid. So I can't see Oppenheimer. Movies like that, I have to wait till they come out on the TV. But I'm not bringing my son to go watch Oppenheimer. Immortals of Avium. There you go. Have you seen the U.S. map of states where Barbie is trending versus the Oppenheimer is trending? It's almost a 1-to-1. No, I haven't seen that. And then I watched a movie last night. It's a sad movie. But it's a good movie. I watched A Man Called Otto. It's a Tom Hanks film. We just watched that one. It's a heartwarming but sad movie. It's called A Man Named Otto. It's with Tom Hanks. Good film. I want to see that as well. With the old lady. I watched The Little Mermaid and thought, but no one here cares, I'm sure. I mean, I don't care that you watched Little Mermaid Chapter 8, right? I don't care. I'm not a fan of the live action Disney films. I just don't. This morning, Water posted that Moana. I said, that's like 3 months old. He's like, yeah, he just found out about it today. I understand if you want to make like the live action films of like Snow White, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and stuff like that. I can't imagine why you would make a live action of Moana that came out like 7 years ago. I'm not a big fan of these live action stuff, which is not live action because most of them are CGI, which is animated anyway. Do you think Tom Cruise has insurance? He does. He was on a talk show, Crowded, and they were talking about the way he talked. He was like, I have to do the assessment. So he's like, are you allowed to ride a motorcycle? He's like, I am not. I'm not allowed to ride a motorcycle. Because he's like, would you do this? He's like, we would have to assess it. Like, he's not allowed to do certain things because it could hurt him. And they would rather put him on the film and make sure he's safe on the film. My wife said the same thing, Chapter 8. She liked Beauty and the Beast. All the rest, I'm trying to think. Here's the problem. I can't think of another live action that I thought was decent. Lion King was horrible. And there was a woman in the movie I just watched last night, a man named Otto. I don't know the actress's name. She played a Mexican woman, a mom in the show, which she did a fantastic job. I don't know what her name is. I have to look it up, but she did a fantastic job. I heard they're making a spinoff? Mufasa spinoff? I didn't like Beauty and the Beast. You know the difference between the animated stuff and the live action stuff? The animated stuff gives you, like, things can happen and you know it's fake because it's cartoon. When stuff like that happens in live action, it's just weird. You know? It's just weird. A couple of good movies I saw in the trailers and stuff like that are coming out. I'm excited. Napoleon actually looked really good with Joaquin Phoenix. I think I might watch that when it comes in theaters. Napoleon looked good. I didn't really picture him as Napoleon, but it looks interesting. I like movies like that. All right, Dolphin. I'm about to take off as well because I have to go feed my son. Mustafar's spinoff, now known as the definition of cash grab. Yeah, right. They're gonna ruin Lilo. Oh, that's right. They're making a Lilo and Stitch. Why though? Why do you have to make these things, right? All right. We are done for today, but don't go anywhere. You can watch the past broadcast if you missed anything. As soon as I'm done. We talked about a couple of top stories today, right? A couple of stories today. We talked about Gotham Knights DLC maybe releasing soon. Okay. We talked about Final Fantasy 14 coming to Xbox and Final Fantasy games coming to Xbox. And then we talked about Transformers and Hasbro, how they want those games coming out. We talked about a lot of other things along the way. So if you like this, please make sure you hit that like button down below. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, you become a member as little as $5. It's $5? It's $5. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to play some Oxenfree 2. I'm going to start that tonight. We probably play like 2 streams, and then we'll play Division with Sarge on Wednesday. And then Thursday night, we do the podcast GXG. I do appreciate you very much for coming out and hanging out with us, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.